Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Love the buzz in the room. All of a sudden, there's so much of silence in the demo area. I couldn't hear myself. There was just so much of networking, so much of buzz in the room. How's everyone feeling today? Is everyone doing good? Good morning. Oh, wow. Better than I expected. Plenty of friends of ours who are joining us in the room right now. Welcome, welcome. Do take your seats. We have plenty of vacant seats on this row. If you can make your way around here, I request you all to take your seats, settle down, have your phones on silent mode as we are about to begin Cisco Connects Bangalore. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome one and all. Lovely to see you here. You beat Bangalore's traffic and you made it here. That's half the job. Well done already. Thank you for joining us. We'll make sure this day is memorable as well as valuable to each and every one of you. Plenty of industry leaders, plenty of subject matter experts who will be communicating with you. We want this to be as interactive as possible. Thank you once again for joining us for Cisco Connect Bangalore. Ladies and gentlemen, how about a quick little exchange of hellos and highs at least? When I say hi, you all say hello. When I say hello, you all say hi. Hello? Hi? That's lovely. Lovely to see this energy in the room. You definitely want to keep that going because we have lots of exciting things happening throughout the day. Before we begin and set things off, though, I'd like to thank our sponsors for their support and partnering us with this event. A round of applause for our digital partner, Panduit. We also have our technology partner, Tim Infratech. Thank you so very much for being such lovely supporters of this event. Ladies and gentlemen, before we begin, I'd like to quickly introduce myself and my association with the movies. I'm sure you're taking a look at me and going, seen him somewhere, jana pehchana sa lagta hai. How many of you here have seen the movie Lagan? Quick show of hands. Lovely. How many of you here have seen the movie Dangal? Quick show of hands. Slumdog Millionaire? Fantastic. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm the guy who's acted in none of these movies. My name is Sriram Sulya, and I'm a broadcaster. It's my honor to be the host of Cisco Connect Bangalore. A big round of applause to each and every one of you for making it out here. Thank you for being part of Cisco Connect. You know, there are a couple of questions that I've been pondering over. How do we push the limits of our own potential? How exactly do we leave this world better than we found it? How do we span the distance between ambition and opportunity? You see, there is a bridge that connects everything. That's where possibilities live. So what is the future of possible really? And how do we get from here to there? The answer is you, ladies and gentlemen. You tackle the unsurmountable. You create the next great opportunity. You make possible.
Technology today is in the heart of everything we do. Technology is the center stage. While every business across Asia Pacific, Japan, and Greater China has access to the same technology, some use it to be more relevant to their customers. Some leverage it to build efficiency. With the power of technology, you make networking possible. You make security possible. You make multi-cloud possible. You collaborate to create meaningful experiences for your colleagues, for your customers. You build a world of possibility. You make possible. Welcome to Cisco Connect.
Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, put your hands together to welcome Samir Garde, President Cisco India and SAARC, for your keynote. You make possible. The stage is all yours, Samir. Welcome.
Good morning, everyone. Oh, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. By the way, did you know that there is a new fashion statement? You wear leather shoes without socks. Where is Sriram? I noticed that there is a new fashion statement, a pocket square. Look at that.
They're called invisible socks.
Oh, they're called invisible socks? Okay. You know, I thought pocket squares, ties, they're all passé now. He has a three-piece suit and no socks under his shoes. Okay. But thanks a lot for coming in such huge numbers. Just to give you a sense of this, firstly, it says Cisco Connect Bangalore, which means it's going to happen in a few more cities, right? So this is for Bangalore. Now, the other thing that I wanted to share with you was we got 1,700 registrations. 1,700 registrations. 600 of you are in the room right now. There is an overflow room over there to accommodate another 200, 300 people. So we are expecting around 750 odd people today here in Bangalore alone. In fact, I got an escalation which went from one of our potential customers to Chuck Robbins, who's our global CEO and chairman, saying, my application has been rejected for Cisco Connect. Please make sure you can help me get registered on that. And I'm not kidding. I'll share that email with all of you. Why do we say you make possible? Not even good English, right? You make possible. But I think it means what we cannot predict with any degree of certainty, which will happen in the future. And that is the reason why we are here together today. It's not about saying that we have all the answers. This is a forum where we want to interact with you to understand what you want to make possible in your organization. What you want to make possible today. What you want to make possible tomorrow and day after. And that is the reason why we call it You Make Possible. Because none of us are sure about what's going to happen today, tomorrow, or day after. But you can tell us what we need to do to make that possibility for you real. The other thing I'm reminded of, and I'm not a stock market player or anything. My wife does all that for me. But I really love this guy called Warren Buffett. Okay, because he's a very simple guy. He's a really simple guy. He says, as long as the company is doing well, fundamentally, I will invest. Right? And fundamentally, if that industry or that company is not doing well, I will not invest. So somebody asked him in one of his sessions that he has annually about digital transformation. And he had no clue what that meant. Right? He's not the kind of guy who can talk about digital transformation or technology the way you and I can. Right? And you know what he said? And I'll read that for you. He said, in a chronically leaking boat, energy devoted to changing vessels, and get this right, energy devoted to changing vessels is more productive than energy devoted to patching leaks. What does that mean? A lot of us try to manage issues that we have of today. We need to take some time out to figure out what is that new vessel we need to move into so that we can transform. What is that new thing that we will go and do in an organization? Or what do you want to do in your own organization, which maybe Cisco can help you with, so that you don't spend too much time on patching leaks? Tell me with a show of hands right now, if I was to ask all of you, how much time do you spend on actually just managing issues day in and day out? Show of hands. Anybody who spends more than 50% of the time managing issues day in and day out. You can be truthful. I can't count, right? I can tell you that I spend, and I shouldn't be doing this at my level, but I spend at least 30 to 40% of my time managing leaks or managing inefficiencies in the system, versus actually spending time on making the new possible. And that's why this theme is there. I also wanted to share with you and give you a sense of how Cisco is doing in India. Right? Last year, which was FY19, and we have, for some reason, a very funny financial year. We start in August and we end in July. Right? So we are already 4 months into this year, or FY20. Right? Last year, ending FY19 July, we were the fastest growing country in the world. I don't think we fed you breakfast. We were the fastest growing country in the world. This has been a banner year for us, right? It's the fastest theater in the world. 20% year-on-year growth in FY19. A new technology like HyperFlex, it's a small part of our business, but it's a massive technology transformation that is happening in the industry. Hyper-converged infrastructure. We were number one worldwide. Number one worldwide. The second thing that I want to share with you is when you think of Cisco, so somebody wakes you up in the middle of the night and says, Cisco, what comes to mind? Networking, right? Intelligent data centers, wow, I love that. Wonderful, right? But most of you would think of networking, right? Let's be truthful to ourselves, right? Hand on heart, Cisco equal to networking. Sensor-based routers, excellent. But let me give you a sense of this, right? 60% of our growth last year, 60% of our growth last year came from WebEx, security, and data centers. Only 40% of our growth came from enterprise networking. Nearly 30% of our business is now software. And from within that 30% of software, nearly 60% of our business is subscription-based software. Now, this is a pretty massive transformation that we've seen in a company like Cisco. And I must say, all of this was possible and more was possible only because of the support of the 600 plus customers that we have over here and the 50 plus partners that we have over here. So thank you very much. I really, really want to thank you from the bottom of my heart on behalf of my team who work so hard along with you and sometimes pester you a lot. But thank you very much for FY19, and we want to make sure that we continue this momentum going forward. Now, the other thing that people, probably few of you know about this, few of you don't know about this. We think of Cisco as a networking company which does a lot of business in India and a lot of business globally, right? We're a $52 billion company globally, and we get around 3 to 5% of our business from India, right? So it's a pretty large mandate that we have here in India. But beyond that, the 3 years that I've spent in Cisco in India, the one thing that gets me really, really passionate is the impact that we are having on this country. The canvas for this company is not just customers. The canvas for this company is not just an enterprise customer or a small customer or a government customer or a commercial customer or what have you, or any of you in the room. The canvas for this company is the citizen of this country, is the government of this country, is how we will help transform this country so that the citizens of this country can have a better living condition. And that is what energizes me the most. Let me give you an example, right? How many of you heard of NetAcad? Okay, one person. How many of you heard of CCNA? Okay. Okay, CCNA is part of NetAcad. Okay, it's actually a CSR program that we run. In the 7 years prior to the 3 years ago that I joined, we did around 300,000 CCNA certifications for students in this country. In the last 3 years, we've done 200,000 certifications in the last 3 years for CCNA and other such courses. Now we do cybersecurity, CCNA, CCIE, we do IoT and all those things. In the last quarter, in the last 3 months, we did 50,000 certifications. So we're on track this year to do 200,000 student certifications for just this year. So that's 300,000 in 7 years, 200,000 in 3 years, and now 200,000 in just this year. That is the kind of impact that we are creating in this country in terms of skill development. And 90% of those people get either a better job or a new job because of those certifications. Now, skill development is a very important factor for Prime Minister Modi. We've invested in approximately 26 startups in this country. We've invested up to $20 million in startups and in VC funds in this country. We've acquired at least 3 companies only in the last couple of years in India. We are also working with CERT, we are working with the cybersecurity arm of the Government of India to help them secure this country, not just individual companies, but this country. Now, it's a very important aspect of what we do for this country. How many of you know that 10% of the world's agricultural land, 10% of the world's agricultural land is in this country, right? Globally, there are around 8 billion people, okay? 8 billion people. India has how many? 1.3 billion. Approximately 17% of the world's population is in India, right? But 10% of agricultural land of the world is in India. Unfortunately, it is one of the most inefficient agriculture industry in the world. It's 16% of our GDP, which is approximately $500 billion. $500 billion, okay? $500 billion industry. But it's amongst the most inefficient industries because we have very small lands and they don't have scale, right? The size of an agricultural land in India, average size of the agricultural land in India is 1% of the average size of the agricultural land in America. 1%. Okay? That's how inefficient our system is. So we work with the Government of India, we work with state governments to help them build more efficiency to help agricultural productivity to go up. We're doing an experiment and a POC in Kerala right now for prawn farming and rice farming. Believe me, those of you who don't know about prawn farming, how many of you know about prawn farming? There you go, right? Timing is critical. Timing is the most critical thing as far as prawn farming is concerned. If you miss the timing in 2 days, you're finished. It's just over, right? And technology can help that effect not to happen. And that is what we are helping farmers in Kerala to do. And now we're going to do the next one in Bid. India is going to invest $500 billion in transportation for airports. There is no country in the world which is going to get 23 new airports. 23 new airports. I tell this to our global CEO and chairman, and he says, Samir, you must be joking. 23 new airports in one country in the next 5 years. India is going to invest $500 billion in transportation over the next 5 years. India has the highest cost of logistics in the world. 4% of GDP is the cost of logistics. Prime Minister Modi told Chuck, can you help us get that down to 2.5%? That is the kind of canvas that we are working on. Just wanted to share this with you very quickly. I want to run a small video for you to show how Cisco's cutting-edge technology is now able to reach around 35 expecting mothers in 800 villages across 11 states. That's what Cisco is all about.
When we learned how basic maternal health care could have saved my friend's newborn baby, we felt we needed to do something.
We both saw challenges, but we were committed to overcoming them.
We needed to find out a way to provide these life-saving tests and treatments to the remote parts of our country.
CareNX has created portable health monitoring kits to provide doorstep care to expectant mothers.
Even the best of the ideas need a platform to flourish. And this is exactly what Cisco's Global Problem Solver Challenge did for CareNX.
With simple diagnostic tools and Wi-Fi-enabled monitors, doctors can now remotely track the vitals of both mother and child.
Today, our program reaches out to 35,000 expectant mothers in our country.
CareNX is already in 800 villages across 11 states, saving thousands, giving hope to millions. Cisco is helping bring new ideas to market every day. Each one makes the world stronger, healthier, better. From inspired ideas to life-saving innovations, there's a bridge. Cisco, the bridge to possible.
You know, I was in Vietnam 2 weeks ago, and I was on a small tourist thing, and you know, the guy in the bus who was taking us around, he said, "Sir, Vietnam produces 4,000 kids a day. Okay? We have a big problem of population." I said, "India produces 45,000 kids a day." But think about it, right? If we can help the life of even one kid out of that 45,000 every day, that's an achievement for technology which not many people can talk about. But let's get on to what we've changed, right? 3 things that we've changed in our company over the last 3 or 4 years. Number 1, we've changed our business model. Completely changed our business model. 5 years ago, out of the $50 billion that we did, approximately $8 billion was software. Okay? Out of that $8 billion, around 30% was subscription-based software. Today, we do $13 billion out of the $52 billion that we do in software. And out of that $13 billion, nearly 56% of that is subscription-based software. Now, that's a massive change for a company which is known for hardware only, right? 13 billion, which means around 26, 27, 30% of our business is now software. The second thing that we've done is that as a result of that focus on software, we are making everything software defined. Whether it is the data center with ACI and helping you manage a multi-cloud environment with ACI anywhere, or whether it is the campus network with our SDA and DNA software. And then the ability to eventually have DNA talk to ACI and have a single platform which manages across your multi-cloud and your campus environments. And then we acquired a company called AppDynamics, which will help you do application performance monitoring. So here is a company which can now talk about figuring out what business insights can you get from your application performance, to managing through a platform on the campus side, to managing your data center with application-centric infrastructure. Having a single pane of glass to manage your entire complex environment. Complexity is something that we want to make sure we solve for you. So that's the kind of innovation that we are driving. The third thing that we've done as a company is we've embraced change as a culture. You know, if we went back 5 years ago, we said, router is, you know, Cisco's thing. How can that become software defined? If that becomes software defined, the world will die as far as Cisco is concerned, right? 5 years ago, we resisted that. 5 years ago, हमने कहा कि नहीं, we shouldn't be doing this. But culturally, we changed. We said if customers are moving towards the cloud, this is a reality that we have to embrace. And that's the cultural change that we're seeing. We're listening to you a lot more than we did 5 years ago. We are a lot more transparent. We are a lot more authentic in terms of how we expect you to talk to us and how we behave with you. And if you're not, you need to tell us that. You know, I've been in this industry for around 14 years. Prior to this industry, which is the tech industry, I used to be in the consumer goods industry. I didn't even know what Cisco did. And I started my career with Nestle, right? Maggi noodles, Nescafe, those kind of companies. Then I went to Whirlpool, then I came to Dell, and now I'm in Cisco, right? But one of the things that, and I'm being very transparent with you, show of hands, how many of you thought 10 years ago that Cisco was a very arrogant company? Oh, very nice. Nobody thought. But I think outside this industry, people did think that because we had 80% share in so many places, that we were an arrogant company. Today, we are a lot more humble because we know we are playing in areas which are just outside of not just networking, but in a lot of other places. Today, we are the world's largest security company. It's probably the best kept secret in the world, right? We're a $3 billion security company. which is growing double digits. So there's a cultural change. All of you are also going through transformation. All of you are also going through this transformation. And if there is one thing which is the most important on this slide, it's the cultural change. It's not about innovation, and it's not just about business model changes. It's about the culture of openness. It's the culture of figuring out whether we are listening more than we were talking. And that is a big change in this company. The other thing that we want to think is, if you went back early 2000s, right? Cisco is the internet, right? Cisco powers the internet. All of you remember that, right? I mean, we were the internet, literally. And we were very proud of that. But I think 25 years hence, right? 25 years later, the internet is going to change drastically. How many of you thought that we'll be talking about, from 100 megabyte Ethernet to 1 gig Ethernet to 10 gig to 100 gig to 400 gig now, right? In fact, there is talk of a terabit per second Ethernet, right? And they're saying maybe we don't need that as of now. 400 gig should be enough. But that is what the internet is about now. 400 gigs. 5G, latency which we've never heard of, right? Today we were talking to Bangalore International Airport, and they're actually thinking of buying a 5G license for Bangalore International Airport. Interesting, right? Now, never thought that they would want to become a service provider for 5G. That is what the internet is going to. Speeds, agility, latency unheard of before. So our vision now is that we will power the internet of the future. And you will help give us feedback on how we can power the internet of the future. And that would mean more automation, it would mean more AI, it would mean more machine learning, it would mean more edge computing, it would mean more IoT, and so on and so forth. And use cases that we can't even think of. So what kind of opportunities does this kind of provide to us? To all of us. There will be new industries, believe me. Industries which we never thought of. Because of this future of the internet, that the way we are talking about it, there will be new industries. There will be customers that you never thought you will be able to access, which you will want to access and will be able to access because of the internet. There are going to be new companies. There are going to be new competitors. Question is, are we ready for taking on that change? Question is, are we thinking about how we are going to take on that change? Are we thinking about these unprecedented speeds and going to make the impossible a reality? And these sessions, believe me, are not so much about what Cisco can do. It's more about what you can tell us that you want to do, which Cisco can help you. It's all about making businesses faster. It's all about making businesses go to markets that they never thought before. And believe me, this is stuff which I never thought would be possible. I spent a couple of years in a company called Philips Healthcare. I was the CEO for Philips Healthcare in India. And when I joined them, I spent time, and we used to sell these MRI machines, these CT scanners, and so on and so forth. And I used to spend time in these diagnostic labs just to understand how these things happen. And I saw these radiologists looking at this thing like this, thing like this. Then they look at, take tissue cultures, and there's a lady who's sitting with a microscope counting the number of cells, bad cells, good cells. And I said, why can't technology, and this was around 6 years ago, right? Why can't technology replace this manual effort? And today, that's a reality, believe me. AI and machine learning has made sure that clinical diagnostics is now driven by technology and not by humans. And that's the kind of change that we might see. We may not actually get to need so many radiologists going forward. India, just to give you an example, is a shortage economy. India has a shortage of doctors, India has a shortage of nurses, India has a shortage of teachers, India has a shortage of judges, India has a shortage of everything, right? Which is a damn good thing for all of us technologists, believe me. It's a really good thing because it's an opportunity to be able to replace that shortage with technology. And these shortages will not go away, believe me. India needs 100,000 new doctors every year. It's not going to happen. India needs 300,000 nurses every year. It's not going to happen. India needs 1 million teachers in the next 10 years. Not going to happen. Despite our population, it's not going to happen. All of these are opportunities for us. This is what we believe we want to do to align to our customers and to this change. Number one, reimagine your applications. We're constantly thinking about what our customers want to do and how we can help you achieve this business transformation. Let me give you an example, and a very simple example at that. A lot of you do this on a day-to-day basis, right? Number one. 5, 7, 10 years ago, I had probably 2 applications that I used on my laptop from my office. I probably used Outlook from my home if the internet connection was good. Otherwise, I used mostly from the office. Today, I have minimum 25 heavily used applications. I have at least 3 devices, and I have innumerable locations that I access that from. Innumerable locations that I access that from. And I want the same experience of that application anywhere from any device in any location. True? And as a user, all I tell IT is, I did not get a good experience for this application on this device when I was sitting in a very poor Wi-Fi environment in the airport. Right? And then the poor IT guy has to figure out how the network needs to be designed or how the application needs to be designed. And how do I ensure security? And how do I ensure that people can talk to each other and have the same experience on every application and every location on every device anywhere in the world? And people don't understand how difficult it is to manage that. And this complexity, by the way, cannot be managed anymore manually, right? I was talking to LG from CGI. LG, are you here? I know. 14,000 people CGI has in India. 85% of CGI's employee base is in India. 85%. Okay? And I asked him, how many people do you have in IT? He says 55 people, period. Managing 14,000 people in India. 55 people. Obviously, he's invested in automation. Obviously, he's invested in software. Obviously, he's invested in a way where it makes it easier for him to give that experience to employees for every application on every device anywhere in the world. And that is what we are changing with application dynamics, with securing and security, and Vish Iyer, who's our Vice President for Architectures, basically our CTO for APJC, he'll also talk a little bit more about this. But these are the 4 pillars of our strategy to get to that Internet of the future. And the reason why we want to do this, is because the world is changing. The world is changing very fast. Okay? So don't try to plug that leaky boat. Okay? Get on to the new boat. A lot of us spend time on plugging that leaky boat. But the world is changing much faster than you can plug that leaky boat. So that leak will become larger. And that is why we want to make sure that we can adapt our strategy and succeed with you. And there's still a lot more to come. We're far from done. Believe me, there'll be surprises even for us into the areas that we get into. Right? When you get into 400 gigs and you get into terabytes, terabit per seconds, believe me, optics is going to be a very important part of that. Right? You can't do that with regular Ethernet now. You need to get into optics. And you've seen us invest in optics now, or optical areas. So I think we are far from done. First of all, I again want to thank all of you for the wonderful support that you've given us over the last 25 years. And I really, really appreciate that. And thank you very much for everything that we do together. Thank you.
So, ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it one more time for Mr. Samir Garde. Thank you, Samir, for that insightful address. It was great listening to you. Ladies and gentlemen, when I say innovation without boundaries, you know, together we have a rich history of innovation that has shaped the future of business. To achieve what we know is possible, we need a new approach. I'm sure you'd all agree. Only Cisco can deliver the multi-domain infrastructure that businesses of tomorrow demand. And India's largest technology company stands testimony just to that fact. Ladies and gentlemen, now I request you all to join me in welcoming Mr. Vish Iyer, VP Cisco Architectures, APJC, to talk about innovation in a multi-domain environment. Over to you, Vish. A big round of applause as he takes stage.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Good to see this large room, and I think Samir's kicked us off really well on how we as a company are transforming. But I think when I come to Bangalore and I see close to 800 people in these two rooms, you know, one thing that's unique for you in this city is you have something that very few parts of the world for Cisco has. Cisco has its second headquarters here. For every one person in the room here, isn't it reassuring for you to know there are roughly 15 or 17 people out here innovating for you every day? We have close to 20,000 engineers innovating all that helps you make that possible. And I think the reason I'm excited here to come and talk here today is about, we will talk about innovations that we in Cisco have been cooking, and that innovation engine has been on fire in the last 24 to 36 months. But I think the more interesting part of my session is going to be celebrating some of those joint customer successes, joint partner success stories on how we are innovating together in digitizing this world. And that's the whole intent of my session today, is more a celebration on how we both can collectively transform. And I think it's in this topic that I'm excited to talk to all of you. And let me start off with the first area around the one that Samir spoke about, is about the world that we live in today. We live in a very interesting time. We live in the era of the cloud. There is a lot of interesting things happening in tech. And I think the way I look at it is how tech is changing us as a person, the way we work every day. If you look at it a few years back, all of you had two distinct lives. You know, you had a daily life, and then you had a digital life. So you had certain experiences at home, then you had a different set of experiences at work. But if you see in the last few years, the daily life and the digital life have started to merge. And what's fascinating to me, I just did a simple analysis, and I want you to think about this. When you wake up in the morning every day, look at the first 1 hour of your life and see how it has changed in the last few years. When I look at it just this morning, I woke up within an hour. I had checked my email, I had checked my instant messenger, I had checked I had accessed 3 platforms, I had checked a health app, I'd seen newspaper subscription, went for a run, I had something like Audible at 2x the speed, reading a book. It just shows, and then checked work simultaneously. Just shows that app has become the front end of our life. That's why we have to reimagine applications. And I think most of you in this room would agree with me that you cannot probably imagine being unplugged and not having certain services that you got so used to. That's the new normal. And when you look at that new normal in the context of India, in the last 2 years, you can probably fathom what's really going on here. And let's look at what's happened in India in the last 2 years and what has changed. 3 years ago, the average mobile data consumption in this part of the world was less than a GB. And then you had someone like Reliance Jio come in and completely transform mobile broadband data. And let's look at some of the statistics here, just in the last 2 years of what's happening in this part of the world. India went from being 155th in mobile data consumption to number 1 in the world on mobile data consumption. Now that's staggering, right? Here you had where people used to plan their days to say that I will do 4 GB in a month, actually doing 1 GB per day. The average mobile data consumption for an Indian today is 11 GB. That's just on the mobile data side. We have 1.2 billion mobile data subscribers. Now that's the connectivity paradigm. Now what does the connectivity paradigm enable? A complete revolution in the payment systems. You had something like UPI, which has become the backbone of the way people transact business with each other. Think just this October, it's hit 1 billion transactions per month. Kind of tells you that in a market like India, you build supply, demand will follow. We are seeing that happen time and time again. Just here in India, I think we have one other unique differentiation is we have the second largest app developer ecosystem. We have 2 million app developers who are developing apps in English, in different languages, and we are only beginning to imagine the possibilities of how we can leverage and lead this world in this app-based ecosystem. We have some fascinating data points around what the e-retailers did in this Diwali season. So what we are seeing is a digital world where you're getting enormous flexibility, amazing functionality, but it also is putting tremendous responsibility. As more and more devices are getting connected, we're only truly understanding the implications of all of this convenience, all of this flexibility, because with great power comes great responsibility. You can't outsource your business because you're dealing in many of these businesses with consumer data. You can't outsource your responsibility of that consumer data. We need to do that with security. Just in the last month, you saw there was an attack on an IoT device in a nuclear power plant. That brings to us the reality that we live in a world where cybersecurity is table stakes. Security needs to be an integral element of how you plan your business. Because once reputation lost, you can never recover. It's about how do you do all of this securely as you connect more speed, more scale. So I think for all of you in this room, I think we are in very exciting times. But, you know, as Samir said, on one side you have a leaky bucket, and the other side you need to steer the ship to deliver these new set of experiences that your customers are expecting. And for that, you need to manage a number of variables. You have more users coming online, whether it's employees, whether it's consumers, whether it's things on one side. On the other side, on the application domain, you're virtualizing things, you're containerizing things, you're locating them on-prem, you're providing the next generation of digital experiences. You have to do all this with speed, but you also have to do this in a secure fashion. So this is the real world that you live in, is how do you distill all of the complexity that you have to deal with in your day-to-day life to make and provide for wonderful experiences for your customers and for your employees. This is the fundamental challenge that we see moving forward. And it's here that I want to change gears. Hey, I think I might need some help on the next slide. All right. So this is the point I want to bring, is we spoke about the two worlds. We spoke about the world at home, the world at work. You're used to all of these platforms that all your employees are also consumers. And they are beginning to expect similar set of experiences that they get on their mobile phone when they come to work. And that is become the reality, that you want to have consumer-like experiences in your enterprise. And it's here that you have the biggest challenge, because you build an organization structure around IT which was based on administrative domains that was built many years ago. So you have various folks in your business, from procurement to infrastructure ops to security ops to network ops, all of them doing their job so well in their individual silos. Now the question is, how do you make all of them work together to deliver the next generation of digital experiences that your employees expect, that your consumers expect? And this is the fundamental challenge for all of us. Is when we talk about, Samir spoke a lot about digital transformation. Digital transformation is essentially a way for how companies can reinvent themselves to partake in their customers' journey. So how can you add more value in your customer discussions, in your customer experience? That's how organizations need to be retransformed. And this is the fundamental challenge that we have. And it's here that we believe that we have technology that can help some of these challenges. Because we realize why we have these broken experiences in the enterprise and why we have so many different silos inside every organization. So the whole point of digital transformation is technology is an important element, but it's about people, it's about process, and it's about culture. It's about intertwining all of this for us to really fix this broken experience. And I think it's here that I want to pick our own story as Cisco. Samir spoke about the journey that we are on. And as Cisco, if you ask me, in the last decade, as a company, we were focused on hardware, we were focused on all of the infrastructure that's sold in the four walls of an enterprise. And we used to sell a lot of single domain technologies. It's like routing, switching, telephony, data center, security. And all of our innovation was within these silos. The reason is because our organization structure was built on the way people buy in our customer. We had a network buyer, we had a data center buyer, we had a security buyer, and therefore we modeled our engineering organization, our sales organization to actually sell to them. And that was the rule of the game. But in this era of the cloud, in the last few years, under Chuck, we've been on this journey to transform, because we realize, just like our customers are pushing us and all of you in this room are pushing us, is we live in a cloud-first world. And in the era of the cloud, it's about experiences that we deliver. It's about our portfolio evolving to have a lot of software components, a lot of subscription components, but we really need to deliver on this multi-domain context where we make all of these technologies work agnostic to where it is actually residing, whether it's residing on the four walls of the enterprise, whether it's residing in a public cloud provider, whether it's residing on a software as a service paradigm. It's about how do we give seamless mobility to the apps, the users, and the things to help you deliver the experiences that you need for your customers and for your employees. So if you really look at it, this is the journey that Cisco has been on. And this journey has got multiple parts. Obviously, it's transformed how we transact, given the fact that there is a lot of software, there's a lot of subscription. And just WebEx is a beautiful experience of that. 5 years ago, you used to sell phones and endpoints. Today, we sell in that same service, we offer it as a service with WebEx Teams, and cloud calling. That's the subscription component. And that's the software component where we sell. So we are seeing that happen in technology after technology, whether it's in the area of switching with DNAC, whether it's in the area of data center with ACI, and in the area of cloud with DO. So that's how we are transforming as a company. But we realize that we need to help you solve that broken experience problem within ourselves. And that's why you'll see a lot of innovation that we are doing is in the area of multi-domain, is in the area of multi-cloud. And we want to be agnostic to whether you consume this technology on the prem, on the cloud, or in combinations thereof, in a business model that can be as a service as well. So that's how we are trying to innovate with our portfolio. So now let's change gears and look at your world in terms of two domains. In every enterprise out there, there are two domains. There was these two artificial boundaries that have existed for a long time. We have the app developers, and then we have the infrastructure side of the house. Both these domains, you don't usually talk to each other as well as they should. But now with infrastructure becoming more programmable, the app developers have to become infrastructure aware. And the infrastructure folks, whether it's infrastructure on the campus, on the wireless, on the wide area network side, on the data center side, have to make their infrastructure through APIs programmable so that app developers can talk to each other. And when we do that, then we create the next generation of digital experiences. And this is what we call the yin and yang of digital transformation. Because when we do this well, and when this works well, you will create a multiplier effect in creating the next set of experiences for your customers, and you'll elevate the value and the role that you all perform in your organization. And this is what we see the next paradigm that we're going to see happen in the next few years. And we're going to help you accelerate that journey. And here I'll try and kind of bring this home with this illustration of the yin and the yang. So what are we delivering? So if you look at each of you as practitioners, you're delivering an outcome, you're delivering a capability, you're delivering an experience to your stakeholder. That's what you're trying to do. And you want to do that in an agile manner. Now let's look at that contradiction. Yes, you want to deliver this, you have existing infrastructure, and you have a certain set of new infrastructure that you want to bring in to your enterprise. You've had this past where you have a lot of infrastructure that you've purchased over the last few years that you need to modernize. And you have them working in different silos of your organization. So the question now for all of you is for you, the discovery mechanism for finding what you need to do to deliver this outcome is what I call the motion of discovery. And this motion of discovery is really hard because you're trying to make what was complex simple. And it's here that we want to give you a framework. The framework of visibility, the framework of insight, the framework of action. Because we believe it's this yin and yang that can help you get there to meet these two contradictory areas where you want to be agile and you want to do it in a simple fashion. It comes back to that same visibility paradigm where you can get visibility from an application perspective and you can get visibility from an infrastructure perspective. And when you can get these two parts of the business to work seamlessly, you can deliver amazing outcomes. And this are two opposite forces working together to create that multiplier effect for your business. And this is what we call is the yin and yang of digital transformation. And this is the area that we are doing a lot of innovation on as a company. So let me kind of explain this framework to you in a very simple way. This is what we call as the business value framework. Is we believe in any business, where you have something existing, you're adding something new. If you can get visibility, you will get the desired insights. You will get the desired context. When you have both of this, you can make better decisions. You can make better decisions, or you can have the systems and the platforms make better decisions for you. And we in Cisco are innovating around this entire paradigm of insights, visibilities, and actions to make you bridge this divide between the application domain on one side and the infrastructure domain on the other side. Let me kind of bring this home with a real life example. Let's see how this all comes together. Let's take this as your sample enterprise. All of you run real businesses. You have users, you have things that connect wired or wireless over your campus network, over your wide area network, to the cloud, and that cloud could be in your data center, it could be with a public cloud provider, or it could be a SaaS service on a global provider. This is the continuum that you are on. Now let's take those simple paradigm. I spoke about how security is an integral element of how you transact this business. So let's take one dimension in one industry. Let's take, for example, banking. This is a bank, and you are a mobile banking customer. What is the problem that the bank CIO has to solve? He has to solve security from an end-to-end perspective, so that any user, whether it's an employee, whether it's a customer, whether it's a consumer, whether he's accessing it from a railway station, a bus stand, an airport, or the comfort of his home, you need to have identity, you need to have policy, you need to know what he's doing, and you need to have even compliance. Because today, the RBI wants to know how many of the transactions were done in what time. Was it done in 50 milliseconds? Was it done in 700 milliseconds? And if so, why? And that's how you need to look at this from an end-to-end perspective. From your enterprise network, to your wide area network, to the app in the data center. It's that continuum that you need to look at. And this is the problem that we in Cisco are trying to solve, is how can we have this from an end-to-end perspective? And how can we help you deliver these experiences in your paradigm? You can take the same example, use it in the context of digital manufacturing. You can use it in the context of pharmaceutical industries. Everywhere, we are really trying to simplify that entire value chain. This was on the area of security. Now you go from security to the higher level. When you talk about visibility, visibility from an infrastructure perspective, visibility from an application perspective, assurance, like you're running a wireless solution in a hotel like this. Do you know what's the average time for a person to log in? What is the use? What is the throughput he's getting? What is the response time he's getting? When did he have a problem? Did he have a problem at 2 a.m. in the night when he was accessing something from his room? That's the level of context that you're looking for. And that's what we want to help you provide. It's about, in the area of IoT, it's about how can you bring more and more devices online as fast as possible. And it's in this whole area of analytics. So when you look at all of these software control points, as I will call them, they all work end to end. They all have to work in a multi-domain fashion. And it's across this breadth of portfolio that we in Cisco are trying to innovate. So you will always find, when you are, all of you have a lot of choice. You can always pick a vendor in one bucket. Like, I can choose an SD-WAN vendor. I can choose a wireless vendor. I can choose a security vendor. But I think the innovation game has shifted now. It's not about innovation within pockets of technology. It's about how you make all of them work. It's about how do you drive agility when you make all this work to deliver the business outcome that you're looking for. And this is where we in Cisco are now building roadmaps of how different platforms need to work with each other. Samir spoke about SDA and ACI, SDA, ACI, AppD, Hyperflex, Intersight. How do we make all of these systems work together on that visibility, insight, and action framework to deliver the outcomes at the speed, at the scale, with the security that you need on a day-to-day basis? So that's the innovation that we are bringing to the portfolio. And with this, I really want to go to the fun part. Is yes, we spoke about innovation. Now let's show you stories of joint success that you are making possible for us. So I'll take this interesting case study of a manufacturer, a very traditional manufacturer, and the customer here had a genuine challenge. They have multiple access technologies, they had wireless technologies, they had wired technologies, they had Internet of Things. They had an IT infrastructure that was managed by one team. They had an OT infrastructure that was managed by a different team. But then they realized that how do they do authentication of devices and users seamlessly? How can they get more visibility to make the environment more safe for their employees and their partners? So this is a fantastic case study of Hindustan Zinc, who's been on this digital transformation journey, and I'm sure he's probably here in this room as well, and we should catch up with him if you get time. Hindustan Zinc is the premier company in the area of zinc and silver in India. They have a lot of mines, and these are in remote places. One of the fundamental problems they had was poor visibility. Now with drone technology, you can actually map a mine. You can figure out where to dig, where to blast, where to detonate. You can have Wi-Fi tags on miners. You can have Wi-Fi tags on trucks that actually collect the haulage from the mines. And it is this level of networking that we brought to that space. With the same set of wired and Wi-Fi technologies, we covered a 100 square kilometer mine for Hindustan Zinc with some of these technologies. And we solved a simple paradigm of bringing the OT world, the IT world, to now what we call the IoT world, with visibility, with insights, and we build this integration where we provide them a simple service so that they know that their miners are safe. They can see it from their network operations center, who is where, how many trucks have collected what haulage, and where are they headed. And we are able to also provide technologies like WebEx that allow the folks in the central location to see what the miners are doing in the remote location and actually interact with them using technology. So this is a beautiful use case of how technology has, the multi-domain nature of the technology has bridged the OT, the IT, and the data center world to deliver a business outcome for Hindustan Zinc. And that's the whole part of this digital transformation, is that we have broken organizational silos. We've changed the way people used to work to make it more safe for the people in Hindustan Zinc to transact business. So that was an interesting case study of how digital transformation worked in the manufacturing context. I would now like to change that frame of reference. I know we are in Bangalore here, and when you talk about digital transformation, it's also probably the startup capital of the world. And Samir spoke about culture. I have a point that when you have a 50-man organization, a 100-man organization, or a 1,000-man organization, doing digital transformation because you're starting from scratch. So startups don't really count in digital transformation. Because when you talk about digital transformation, you need to look at organizations which are 10,000 people, 50,000 people, 500,000 people. Because changing mindsets, cultures of that organization and embarking on a digital journey is really tough. And it is with this context that I'm really pleased to have TCS come and share their success story with us. And like to invite Vishwas Joshi from TCS. Vishwas, please come on stage. Welcome.
Thank you.
And as you can see in Vishwas's title, when I made this multi-domain presentation and I met him this morning, I had no context that TCS is so far ahead in this journey. And they have actually put on together the fact that they are integrating their multi-domain operations around data center, cloud, messaging, network, and infra under Vishwas Joshi. So So who better than Vishwas to share the TCS's digital journey? Thank you, Vishwas, for coming on stage.
Thank you. Hi, good morning all.
Want to use this?
Yeah, thanks.
Please.
Yeah, so I think everyone knows TCS is 450K plus users spread across multiple geographies. Biggest setup obviously in India, roughly around 300,000 people in India. We provide IT services to most of the Fortune 500 organizations, helping them in their day-to-day life, as well as in going into digital transformation for our customers. Now, each industry has their own set of requirements when they work or give work to us, related to security, data privacy, and that makes our infrastructure our complex animal, so to speak, because not only we have to service our customers, that is our employees, but also we need to ensure that the data that our employees are managing, the customer data, is not compromised. And meeting the customer demands in terms of data security and privacy. So it becomes very complex, multi-segmented architecture, where sometimes what happens is we lose the complete end-to-end visibility. And it becomes cumbersome to onboard a project, onboard a business, and also importantly, to offboard a project. So when a project ends, ensuring that whatever was configured for them is taken out. Now, people in this hall, I think they would agree that the stale firewall rules is the most painful thing to clean up. And this is exactly what happens when you have multi-segmented network, multi-segmented infrastructure, and which causes a lot of pain for IT folks like us. I've been in this industry for 25 years, 25th year is going on right now, and I've seen things have moved from mainframes, which was very proprietary, to an open systems, and so to speak, simplified networks. It's a misnomer because of late with the complexity coming in, managing that, it's pain. So going forward, I think last 3 years, the business has changed. Business is moving to business 4.0. Now that has put a lot of pressure on IT folks because business 4.0 requires IT to be available anytime, anywhere, and without compromising the security. It is, so to speak, kind of consumerization of enterprise IT. Now, how to manage that? I think that's where we started looking at what we can do to ensure that we meet customer demands, our internal customers and TCS customers. And that's where I think we coined a term internally that's infrastructure 4.0. We wanted to become from a service provider to an IT or business enabler. Now there's a lot of difference between the two. A service provider just services what customer demands. But I think business enabler understands what business needs, is more relevant to the business rather than just thinking about IT. I think we folks, most of the times we look at technology and we feel that, okay, this technology is good, but whether it is meeting the business outcome or not is the crux of the matter. So what we are looking for. So 2-3 years back, we started looking at what more we can do. So we wanted a solution which is maybe combining multiple touch points in the infrastructure space, which is simple to deploy, scalable, and also giving us a lot of visibility in terms of how the whole function is happening. I think that was from a multi-segmented architecture or infrastructure perspective, that was the most critical thing, that we need to have a visibility end-to-end so that we can meet the business demands and also at the troubleshooting time. Okay, so this very busy slide. Just will try to, I think you will not be able to see what is written there. So in roughly around 2015-16, we started discussing with Cisco what we can do, how we can create a framework which eventually can lead to infrastructure on demand and moving away from IP addressing. So in traditional fashion, IP address is the unique.
Sorry.
Oh yeah, sure. Hello? Yeah.
Sorry, you're very agile.
In 2016, we started working with Cisco, looking at what we can do to solve the problem and go to infrastructure 4.0. A lot of sessions happened, and in Feb 17, we went to design phase. From day one, we were very clear that we wanted to have all stakeholders involved when we do a brainstorming session. Now, Vish talked about yin and yang, about application team and infra team. I can vouch that within infra team, there are multiple yins and yangs. So, okay, because each team within infra also talks about their domain. Now that becomes very difficult because everybody, when there is a problem, everybody says that problem is not my area. But problem is still there. So how to bridge those gaps and how to create that touch point? Because technology can give you touch points, but ensuring that the touch points are there at the people level is most important. So we started with the brainstorming sessions in Feb, and I think 3-4 sessions we had, all teams within the infrastructure, everyone was involved. And we conceptualized this is the way we want to go. August 17, we agreed to be an EFT partner, or guinea pig, so to speak. And in September, we started the project. This was one of the biggest campuses that TCS has in Mumbai. It's roughly around 14,000 people. And we started the journey. We did this DNA or SDA architecture. So it is end-to-end multi-domain setup. We have SDA on the campus, ACI, and we also have, on the compute side, we use Hyperflex. So it's completely a Cisco shop. We did the UAT, and on the EFT code, we went live.
Wow.
So that was a big leap of faith for us. And I'm glad to say that Cisco was always there with us. We had all good, bad, ugly scenarios. But I think it was a joint effort. It was a partnership. And because of that, we have reached where it's live and kicking. It's completely 14,000 people are working on that. And on this technology, we created a platform called OACW, Open Agile Workplace, where it is the identity of the person which decides what access he will have rather than the IP address. I think that is a big transformation, which is sometimes very difficult to digest by customers, our TCS customers, as well as the security folks. So especially when they look at the log and forensics and all that, it becomes a bit of a challenge. But I think we have onboarded them, or we have not given them a choice. So, yeah. So So we are here right now. That campus is live and kicking. We have 3 more campuses which are already on this platform. And we have taken a strategic decision that this is the way we want to go. This is the way TCS network would look like, or TCS infrastructure would look like. And thanks to Cisco team, I think it's something which we conceptualized 3 years back, and we can see the fruit here. And I'm sure my infra team in that campus right now is very happy. I hope so. So we can check the feedback. But that's the way it is. Thanks. That's, I think, okay. So bit of again, this is a busy slide. So this is the campus. So you have wired, wireless. You have the resource zone. So basically, this is your data center, where it's ACI. So just a bit of a technology. So we use SGTs here, and EPGs are here on the ACI side. And we use ICE to ensure that SGT and EPG transformation happens there. So that from an end user perspective, it's an end-to-end secured connectivity to his resources. Now, using the same SGT, we also ensure that the WAN connectivity to the customers is also maintained. So that user can sitting anywhere, but he will get the access, whatever he is entitled to, at the data center side or at the customer end. So going forward, so what are the learnings? So we need to ensure that all the stakeholders are onboarded on this. That is most important, including management, because they are going to give the money. And as I said, it has to be a joint effort. It's a journey that everyone has to take. Otherwise, we will go in a different direction. So everyone has to be on the same train to reach the destination. I think that is most important. Third thing is culture. Again, I said people work in silos. How to break that? That's where the point 2 comes into picture, that everyone has to be onboarded on this. So I will leave at that.
Thank you. Look, I think, thank you, Vishwas. How good was that as a sharing? I think when I spoke about TCS being a very agile startup, I think just think of what in the previous slide and in the last journey that Vishwas has shared, is if you are an employee of TCS who's working for a particular customer in some part of the world, with this solution, TCS has been able to virtually ensure that we can get physical and virtual access. So you can create agile teams. So maybe you want to talk to us in the context of the business value. With this solution, what are you able to do which you were not able to do before? So just in terms of bringing up customer teams, can you give us an idea of what it was before and what it is now?
So I think I briefly touched upon when I explained. I think business value is something where business wants to go live as of yesterday. It's the story everywhere. Now, how I can bridge that gap between yesterday and today is the matter. I think with this multi-domain architecture, we have been able to reduce the time to go live or for a business. And most importantly, when the ramp-ups used to happen, there were a lot of rework required because IPs might change, you need to change the IP subnets, all that would happen. Now with identity as or person identity as the center point, the ramp up and ramp downs became very easy. Now what we are trying to do here is, and if people are from IT/ITS industry, you have ODC structure, and you have ODC of 50 people, 40 people, but the physical space is not that agile to change the structure of the ODCs, the physical structure. Now we used to have a lot of locked seats. So ODC requires 40 seats, but the physical space is 50 seats. Those 10 seats are wasted. Now with Agile, we have done away with, or we call it a borderless ODC. So we have done away with these physical boundaries. So what people need 40 seats, they will get 40 seats. They can sit anywhere, but they will be still part of the same project. So from a management perspective, it has helped in terms of unlocking those unused seats. That eventually turns into the more revenue per seat basis. So it's one is the business, and other is the management. I think both should be happy.
Beautiful. I think the next question I had is, you spoke about the infrastructure team, the yin and the yang, the application team. What have you learned in this journey of making both of them more empathetic to each other?
Ensuring they talk the same language is most important, because generally it is Kannada and Marathi maybe. So ensuring that they talk the same language, they understand. So what we have done, I'll just give an example. So within the infrastructure team, we created a task force which was having one or two representation from each team, make them understand how this setup is going to work. There was some tweaking required at the process level. So earlier, like ODC going live, you need to have 5-10 CRs for every domain. Now we create a service request where it is basically a business comes, he says that I want to set up a ODC. And these are the accesses. And that actually internally gets converted to the action. So that has helped in terms of business as well as the internal teams where a lot of interaction happens. On the application side, we are also on the journey of Cloud Center with creating a private cloud. Bit tricky. I'm not application guy, so I will talk from infrastructure perspective. So they are a bit tricky people. So,
but you learned Ansible, you learned Python, or you got your team
that's
to
what
learn
we
it?
did. So what we did is we had multiple sessions with the application team telling them that how Cloud Center can help them. Because unless they are onboarded, this train will not go anywhere. And my team, we gave a lot of trainings on the scripting side of it, so that they empathize with what application guys go through. And it also helps from automation perspective.
Brilliant. Thank you, Vishwas. I think that gave you a perspective of how a large organization is able to completely leverage multi-domain, both from a technology perspective, but more importantly from a people, process, mindset, culture perspective. I think that was a really good insight. And we want to thank TCS for co-creating, taking that leap of faith with us. And just to give you a sense of why this is so important for us, is we just recently concluded our partner summit. And on our main stage event, within 15 minutes of our main stage event, we celebrated the TCS success story. Let me roll the video that was played in front of 7,500 partners of Cisco in Las Vegas. So Vishwas, let me play the video of Amit Jain. Let's roll the video, guys.
My boss.
All right.
While my role title is Global Head Internal ITIS, but my real job is to meet IT requirements of 400,000+ users and make sure they are happy and smiling. TCS is a global consulting organization serving thousands of customers across the globe. Traditionally, these customers have been working out of offshore or nearshore development centers. Now, these development centers have been designed in an isolated way to ensure security compliance and data confidentiality. This takes a lot of time for my team to create the network segmentation and make sure that the environment is ready for business to work, and the operational efforts to create these centers is significant. We started this journey with a vision to offer open, agile, collaborative development centers to our customers. This project is one of the first deployment globally using Cisco's multi-domain integration having SD access for wired and wireless network, ACI for data centers, next-gen firewalls, Hyperflex, collaboration, and ICE. The multi-domain integration architecture is giving us unified policies across wired and wireless network. It gives the scalability to meet the increasing customer demands. It gives the flexibility to improve the employee satisfaction. And also it gives, the greatest thing is it gives the visibility across the network on a single pane. With the integration of its SD access and ACI, TCS is able to leverage the agility of the software-defined networks in a true manner. What used to take 2 to 3 weeks of planning and execution is now done in 2 to 3 days. With the deployment of Cisco SD Access multi-domain architecture, we have created a pool of skilled network professionals. Now we have the opportunity to take this knowledge and participate in the transformation journey for our customers across the world.
Thank you. Thank you, Vishwas, for coming down here, taking the time, and more importantly, working with us in building a world-class solution. I think our solution has become better thanks to the learnings that we've had from this deployment, and it will be a showcase for us in how company in India can lead the world for Cisco.
Thank you.
Thank you
Just
so
one,
much.
if you are on EFT, don't involve too much feed to management, because the good, bad, uglies, we should keep it to ourselves. That makes life both more easy.
Beautiful. Thank you, Vishwas. I think, thank you with that wonderful sharing. Now, team, let me kind of change gears and cover a couple of other industries. And I think in India, I want to change gears and talk about the next case study. Hey guys, can we go to the? Yeah. I'm going to talk about a industry which is probably going through very similar digital journeys, and I'm going to talk about something which is where Bangalore is the hub for IT services companies. And do I have the slide here? No, not yet. Okay. Okay, let's start with a public sector bank. This is a digital journey around a traditional public sector bank. And this public sector banks have the tyranny of procurement, right? They have to buy infrastructure in a certain way with RFPs. And here is a customer who's a public sector bank, who's big onto mobile banking, but who also has tons and tons of branches where there is legacy infrastructure. So I think here the question was, how do you manage this transition? And the problem was, how do you do multi-domain across the data center, across the wide area network, across multiple service providers? And this is here again that we brought multi-domain to life by bringing technologies like software-defined WAN and working closely with the equivalent hooks on the data center side of the house. So Vishwas just now spoke about how the SDA tag was linked to the data center tag. Here we link that to the SD-WAN tag. So with that, you get to share multiple links. So you have two links, both can work in active-active formation. And you can define central policy. And you can integrate all of these domains together from a visibility perspective, from an automation perspective, to give the agility that you need in your business. So this is another use case of how we solved a specific customer problem around multi-domain and got different parts of the organization, the team that manages the wide area network, the team that manages the data center, the team that manages security, and got all of them to work together in a unified policy construct and a unified management construct. And the deliverable from all this is that single pane of glass that you can look for your application and you can look for from an infrastructure perspective. That's what we did in this use case. And we are beginning to see now public sector bank after bank actually replicate this model for us around this digital journey around multi-domain. I'll kind of shift gears now and move to the next use case, which is for IT services companies, which are a number of you out here in the room, is around one of the most important pillars, which is around cybersecurity. And one of the things that's very common today is you have access to a lot of sensitive customer data. The fundamental problem is, how do you protect yourself from any guy in your organization, either your employee or your partner, using his laptop and subscribing to a software as a service, using his credit card. And how can you protect yourself from things like ransomware? And what if his machine gets compromised? This is this number one problem that we are seeing is how do you protect your desktops? How do you protect your laptops? How do you protect your mobile phones? And how do you protect your employees and your partners? And this was the defense challenge that every IT services company has. Because in this business, if you have a hack, you're finished. And you've seen companies after companies go through that paradigm. So here we work closely with Microland, who is the customer here, on their digital transformation journey to protect their assets. So the customer problem was they had inconsistent security implementation across their different domains. So whether it's the web domain, whether it's the email domain, we just integrated SecOps and IT ops and got them to talk to each other as they moved from maybe an IP address construct to an identity construct and help them execute that to deliver better compliance for themselves as well as their customers. So the use case here is around endpoint security, is around web security, around email security, and is around policy of how different users using ICE access the system, whether they are using it from their office, whether they are using it over a wide area network, whether they are using it from their homes. This is primarily an identity-based security system that we executed, which gives them the visibility and the compliance that they need to deliver to protect themselves from ransomware, and got all of their different teams working closely with each other. So that is the aha here from a digital journey perspective. And this is a very important journey because this is the most vulnerable part of your infrastructure. And how do you make this work on-prem, on the cloud, or in combinations thereof is the problem that we solved for Microland here. So let me move on to another use case, which is in the area of government. And you've seen from the government of India, in each state, we are building smart cities. And their biggest challenge is they are building a lot of apps. There are a lot of e-services apps. So how do you ensure that the users of those apps are getting the experience that they need? How do you get visibility into what is their experience? So this is a very simple problem of really trying to understand what is the performance of the app? How is it delivering on a weekly basis, monthly basis, quarterly basis? And is there anything I need to do to improve performance? So it's this, in the app-first world, this is a brass track requirement. And what we did here with the government of Rajasthan is essentially solve that problem. We work closely with them in understanding the apps that they've deployed and work closely with them to have AppD and our data center portfolio deployed for them so that they can get visibility into how their apps are performing in providing citizen services. So they have this visibility dashboard for their application domain, and with the same visibility dashboard, they can extend that to the infrastructure domain around their own on-prem data centers. So that here is the use case around the digital transformation journey around this app-first world. You know, in our priorities, we had reimagine your applications as your number one priority. And that's what we see going to happen in this part of the world. And managing your applications from a visibility perspective, from a performance perspective, is extremely critical. And we have a number of capabilities in our portfolio that actually help you do that. And we can do that from a security paradigm. We can do that from a performance paradigm. We can do that and provide that to you. And that's the use case that we delivered here for the government of Rajasthan. So let me move quickly. We covered 4 different use cases of customers where we celebrated their success journeys around a single pane of glass, around how they're modernizing their platform. We got TCS to come and talk about how identity defines your access to resources and even all the way up to the data center. You had application modernization, and application performance from the government of Rajasthan. So those were different use cases of how our technology is helping customers deploy multi-domain solutions. Let me now kind of change the frame of reference and talk about corporate social responsibility, because at the end of the day, technology for good is also a very important theme for us in Cisco. And this is a fantastic use case where a partner has innovated an amazing solution to help a different set of people who are differently abled. So this is I'm really proud to share this use case with all of you, because this use case won the Global Innovation Award for Cisco in our recently concluded event in Las Vegas. And this innovation came from a partner here in Bangalore. So let me share this use case of Wipro. They build the programmability of good for the future workforce. So this is a fascinating use case where, all of us in this room are probably very well abled. Imagine if you are not so well abled, whether if you're deaf, you're dumb, you're blind, you want to find meaning in your life, in your work. Don't we all have a responsibility to use technology to empower them, to celebrate them, to integrate them? That's what Wipro did here. They took our technology around DNAC, around WebEx, with all of the AI tools, so that this technology can speak, can listen, can code based on their need. And they built a digital accessibility system for the disabled. This was their innovation. So they now have a rack of equipment with which you can provide this solution for not so abled people in these workflows. Just a data point, just look at that data point. In India, we have 17 million disabled adults. With this solution, I am so proud to share that Wipro employed 450 people in their campus with this solution. How cool is that? Cisco has recognized this, and we want to take this solution global. So this is another brilliant use case of using multi-domain technology for greater good of mankind. So that's why I'm so proud to share this use case of multi-domain, of how technology can be used to make differently abled people be part of this digital transformation journey. So we've covered 5 use cases. We've celebrated 5 use cases across 5 different industries of how all of these technologies are coming together. But as we kicked off the event in the morning, technology is one element. As Vishwas rightly brought it home, it's about people, and more importantly, it's about culture. So let me net this and bring this home for you, is that as we are innovating across technology domains, we realize that we need to work natively with number of your service management applications like ServiceNow, like AlgoSec, like Infoblox, to do APIs, to do plugins so that they can work seamlessly, so that we can help you deliver that agile operating framework. That's one dimension that you will see as infrastructure becomes programmable. We will integrate it with the agile operating constructs to deliver business outcomes for you. But we talked about at the very start of this session that this session is about you. How can we help you unleash your human dimension so that you can take these technologies, break the silos? We realize that it's here that we need to do a lot of enablement. So you will see Cisco leveraging programs like Net Academy, like our DevNet program, which has close to 500,000 developers now, helping you on programmability skills, on cloud skills, on security skills, on API skills, so that you can leverage all of these technologies along with our partners. And we realize that when we break the silos, help you become multi-domain, we will help you deliver business outcomes. I started this session by talking about the fact that this is probably the most hardest part, because we have to rewire muscle memory. you've used to a certain way of working for the last many years. Now we need to change your mindset, we need to change your skill set. But it's about what we want to assure you is we're going to be with you every step of this journey to help you leverage this infrastructure. And I started this session by talking about broken experiences. And now we're talking about incredible experiences. And we've realized in the last few months of working closely with customers and with partners that if we have to deliver business value, you land one software control point, which is the yin or the yang, it pulls other software control points. And you make your solution from a visibility perspective multi-domain. When you do that, you're able to see that you're able to deliver incredible customer experiences. So this is what I want to leave you with, is in this session, we spoke about all of the innovation we are bringing. We spoke about all of the success stories from different customers on their journey. The key takeaways that I have for each one of you is focus not on the leaky bucket, but on the business outcomes that you need to deliver moving forward. And it's here that you really need to reimagine your customer journey from a end-to-end perspective, not within the silos of your organization or your teams, but across the length and breadth of your organization. When you think multi-domain, you will come up with better solutions and you will deliver better experiences for your customers and your consumers. We have a lot of platforms that we would love for you to leverage. Work with us like TCS did in co-creating incredible experiences, because we want to lead this world. And we have more people in this city than we have anywhere who have your back. So I thank you so much for your time. Pass the ball back to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so very much. Big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, for Wish. Thank you for that really interactive and engaging session. Ladies and gentlemen, we have an exciting panel that's about to take stage. Before that, we will be heading out for a tea break. Quick couple of announcements that I want to get to you, because this is going to be important for you to follow through for the rest of the day. We have our World of Solutions demo zones that have been set up outside. Get a hands-on experience on Cisco architectures. Also, drop your raffle drop box, the cards that have been handed over to you at the registration desk. Those drop boxes will be open throughout the day, and make sure you check out the demo zones, have your cards stamped, and drop them in at the drop box. We will be doing the raffle draw, and we will be picking out a winner or two by the end of the day. And trust me, these gifts are something that you want to get your hands on. For those of you who prefer being on the Twitterverse, keep those tweets coming in with the hashtag Cisco Connect Bangalore and hashtag YouMakePossible. Keep those tweets coming in, because we are looking for the tweet champion of the day. I will see you back again at 11:40 for an engaging panel discussion. Enjoy your tea and coffee outside. Enjoy your networking break, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so very much.